Hello and welcome. Tonight, the investigative panel set up by the federal government reveals that cross-dresser Idris Okuneye, also known as Bobrisky, served his 6-month jail term but enjoyed some privileges or from privileged treatments from prison officials. Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals files a lawsuit at the Federal High Court in Abuja requesting the annulment of import licenses granted to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Matrix Petroleum Services, A.A. Rano Limited, and 4 other companies. And former President Olusegun Obasanjo appeals to Nigerian and African leaders to imbibe virtues that will heal and restore hope to the people.
On business news tonight, global finance chiefs gather for the annual meeting of the World Bank and IMF in Washington amid concerns over wars in the Middle East, flagging Chinese economy and upcoming U.S. election.
On sports news tonight, Brazil's superstar Neymar returns to action after a lengthy layoff, appearing as a second-half substitute in Al Hilal 5-4 win against Asian champion Al Ain.
And from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory Administration revokes a land initially approved for construction company Julius Berger. The FCT Minister Yeson Wike says the land was revoked because the company did not develop it for 10 years.
And in international news from London, Moldovan voters appear to have backed the Eastern European country changing its constitution and committing to joining the EU by the thinnest of margins.
A federal government panel constituted to probe bribery allegations regarding controversial cross-dresser Idris Okuneye, widely known as Bobrisky, says the social media sensation served his 6-month jail term in prison, but he enjoyed several privileges. A member of the panel, Dr. Uju Agomo, who read the initial report of the probe at the Ministry of Interior on Monday, said the panel did not find any evidence thus far that suggested that Mr. Okuneye slept outside the custodial center during the period of his imprisonment, which was from April the 12th to August the 5th this year, which is a 6-month correctional sentence with the usual remission applicable. Dr. Agomo said during this period, Bobrisky was moved from the Kuje Custodial Center to the Medium Security Custodial Center in Kirikiri, Apapa, Lagos, and then to the Maximum Security Custodial Center, from where the cross-dresser was discharged after completion of his sentence. The panel said the cross-dresser's transfer to a maximum security facility as a first offender violated Section 164A and Section 164B of the Nigerian Correctional Service Act of 2019. In the meantime, the Nigeria Immigration Service has confirmed the arrest of Idris Okuneye, also known as Bobrisky, at the Seme border. The service, in a statement this night, says Mr. Okuneye was arrested while trying to flee Nigeria. A spokesman for the service, DCI Katie Udo, described Bobrisky as a person of interest over recent issues of public concern. He adds that he is undergoing interrogation and will be handed over to the appropriate authorities for further action. The House of Representatives Committees on Reformatory Institutions and Financial Crimes embarked on a fact-finding mission to the Office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and facilities of the Nigeria Correctional Services. The team is in Lagos to unravel if Nigerian cross-dresser Idris Okuneye, popularly known as Bobrisky, enjoyed special privileges while at the medium and the maximum security custodial centers, and the bribery allegation against the anti-graft agency is true.
The first port of call for the legislators is the EFCC office in Ikoyi, where they were briefed by officials of the anti-graft agency. The team then proceeds to the Kirikiri medium and maximum prisons, where they were also received by officials of the Nigerian Correctional Service.
Which day was he taken to court? On 5th. On 4th. Where is the first place they take him to? Okay. After the court, he was where?
They took him to Ikoyi.
The same day they brought him.
The same day they brought him here.
Yes, I want to know from 4 to 12. Where is he?
From 4 to 12.
Yeah.
He's not in
With the tour completed, this is what the chairman of the 2 committees have to say.
We are here to do what is called justice, to make sure the allegation is properly investigated, to find out, is it true that Bobrisky Idris is really detained, whether he served his jail terms in correction centers. And that is our aim of coming here, to verify it. After then, we put up our report before we can showcase the report to the public. We have come here, we find out from our information before us that truly is being detained here, but every other report will come up after they meet the committee, joint committee meets to look at it, both the EFCC angle, which the chairman of EFCC is here to speak on that, that will make our report known to the public and present to the House.
We have come, we have seen, we have some contradictions. We have seen other things. It's left for the joint committee to go back and look at the reports. We are also going to interface with the board. Because the board suspended one or two of the staff of the correctional facility. We have also written to them to give us the report of their investigation, which should be ready by now. The committee will sit back and come up with a joint report that will be presented to the National Assembly on what we saw. You can be sure that we are going to say the truth of what we saw. There's not going to be any addition, there's not going to be any subtraction.
From your own record as a matron, the medical officer confirmed to you that he's a man. He's a man. That is what we want to hear.
An accelerated conclusion to this bothersome allegation is uppermost in the minds of Nigerians, who will be hoping that this expectation is eventually met.
Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals has filed a lawsuit at the Federal High Court in Abuja requesting the annulment of import licenses granted to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Matrix Petroleum Services Limited, AA Rano Limited, and 4 other companies. The case centers on the importation of refined petroleum products that Dangote claims are already being produced domestically without shortages. In the suit, Dangote Refinery is also demanding 100 billion naira in damages from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, the NNDPRA. The refinery alleges that NNDPRA has unlawfully continued to issue import licenses to the NNPCL, Matrix Energy, and others for products like automotive gas oil, AGO, and jet fuel, despite Dangote's production capacity exceeding Nigeria's current daily consumption of these products. In its originating summons, Dangote's counsel argues that NNDPRA has violated sections 3178 and 9 of the Petroleum Industry Act by issuing import licenses under circumstances where no product shortfall exists. They contend that such licenses should only be granted when there is a demonstrated need for imported products. At today's proceeding, counsel to Dangote informed the court of ongoing discussions between the parties aimed at reaching a settlement. He requested an adjournment to facilitate these negotiations. The presiding judge, Justice Inyang Ekwo, subsequently adjourned the case till January the 20th, 2025 for the report on the negotiations. The Ilorin Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has rearraigned the immediate past governor of Kwara State, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, alongside his finance commissioner, Ademola Banu, on a 14-count amended charge bordering on alleged stealing and mismanagement of public funds to the tune of 5.78 billion naira before Justice Mahmoud Abdul Ghaffar of the Kwara State High Court, sitting in Ilorin. Their rearrangement was sequel to the transfer of the former trial judge, Justice Evelyn Anyadike of the Federal High Court, sitting in Ilorin, to another division. Governor Abdul Fattah and Mr. Banu were first arraigned on a 12-count charge of mismanagement of public funds before Justice Anyadike on April the 29th this year, to which they pleaded not guilty. However, the presiding judge was transferred in the course of trial. And while the name of the former governor featured in all of the 14 counts, Mr. Banu's name did not appear in count 7, where only Mr. Ahmed was accused of failure to fill assets declaration form offered him by officers of the EFCC upon arrest, contrary to Section 27(3)(c) of the EFCC Act No. 1 of 2004. The Defense Headquarters says it has not announced the appointment of any senior officer as the Acting Chief of Army Staff, contrary to speculation by certain media outlets as no such appointment exists within the armed forces of Nigeria. A statement signed by the Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukur Guzo, indicates that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, is currently on a well-deserved rest as part of his 2024 annual leave. The statement adds that Major General Abdusalam Ibrahim, who is the Chief of Policy and Plans, is providing routine briefs to the Chief of Army Staff in accordance with standard military procedures. General Guzo warns individuals spreading unfounded rumors to desist from doing so immediately, as the Chief of Army Staff is hale and hearty and will soon resume normal duties at the end of his leave. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has been speaking on the leadership gap that exists in Africa and Nigeria. The former president, who was speaking at the 11th African Bible Leadership Initiative Conference in Abuja, explains that the gap exists because of the lack of knowledge, compassion, courage, and hard work. He called on leaders of the African continent to imbibe virtues that will heal and restore hope to the people.
The 11th African Biblical Leadership Initiative, which is holding in Abuja, seeks to equip, inspire, and encourage leaders to ignite personal and cultural transformation in Africa. Former military head of state General Yakubu Gowon and former President Olusegun Obasanjo are amongst senior members of the forum in attendance under the Bible Society of Nigeria.
In these challenging times, the need for leaders who embody biblical values have never been more critical. We face numerous challenges such as economic uncertainties, insecurity, social injustices, and conflicts that threaten our unity and progress. Yet, it is through the lens of our faith that we can confront these issues with courage and compassion.
As wars continue to take toll on different parts of the world, former President Olusegun Obasanjo makes a case for good leadership in Nigeria and, by extension, Africa.
Who don't even have objective. They don't have mission. How do you expect them to go right? How do you... Somebody was telling me a story. He said he asked the man, and he's a leader of a nation. He said, look, put something together. He said, when we get there, we will put it together. When we get there, we will put it together. When we get there, you will be overwhelmed.
A former Chief Justice of South Africa follows the narrative and calls on African leaders to remain selfless and commit to shunning religious and political inclinations.
We too, as Africans, have exacerbated our problems by allowing the institutionalization of mediocrity at the leadership and other levels. Competence is a self-evident and indispensable leadership trait.
Renditions are then made for the restoration of peace, love, and good leadership for the African continent.
All right, and back to our story on the Dangote refineries, 100 billion naira suit against the NNPCL. And a press statement from Dangote Petroleum and Refinery says that the issue, as is an old one, which started in June, and of course culminated in a matter that is being filed that was being filed on September the 6th, 2024. Now, Dangote, in his press statement, says that currently the parties are in discussion since the President Bola Tinubu's directive on crude oil and refined product sales in Naira initiative, which was approved by the Federal Executive Council. It says that it has made tremendous progress in that regard, and events have overtaken the development. According to the press statement from Dangote, it says no party has been served with court processes and there is no intention of doing so. And it has agreed to put a hold to the proceedings. It's also for the states that it is important to stress that no orders have been made and there are no adverse effects on any party. Dangote says it understands that once the matter comes up in January of 2025, they will be in a position to formally withdraw the matter in court. Well, in part two, after the break, the federal government approves ExxonMobil Seplat divestment and declines Shell Renaissance deal. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The investigative panel set up by the federal government reveals that cross-dresser Idris Okonaye, also known as Bobrisky, served his 6-month jail term but enjoyed some privileged treatments from prison officials. Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals files lawsuit at the Federal High Court in Abuja requesting annulment of import licenses granted to the NNPCL, Matrix Petroleum Services Limited, AA Rana Limited, and 4 other companies. However, in a press statement, Dangote says that the suit is an old one and is in touch with all parties involved to resolve the issues out of court. And former President Olusegun Obasanjo appeals to Nigerian and African leaders to imbibe virtues that will heal and restore hope to the people. So let's head to the nation's capital now, and Victoria Long John is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you, Ayo. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has revoked a land initially approved for construction by the company Julius Berger. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, made the revelation during the flag-off ceremony for the construction of housing units for judges of the Federal High Court, the FCT High Court, and the Court of Appeal. Mr. Wike explains that the land was revoked because the company did not develop it for 10 years. Our correspondent Kumbi Aboluwade reports.
This is a flag-off ceremony of the construction of 40 housing units for judges of the Federal High Court, FCT High Court, and Court of Appeal by the Federal Capital Territory Administration. The Executive Secretary of the Federal Capital Development Control gives a background of the project.
This site has been parceled into 3 sections for the 3 categories of the judges.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria and other senior members of the bench were in attendance, and they appreciate the initiative.
This significant project is unprecedented as it relates to the federal judiciary in the collective efforts to enhance the welfare and working conditions of our esteemed judicial officers.
The FCT minister explains how his administration got the land from a construction company and his efforts to improve the welfare of judicial officers.
You have seen this land here. When we were looking for where we get such a land to build, and I was driving around looking for empty land, and I got here, I saw this big land. I saw the big post, Julius Berger. So I didn't talk. How would government allocate land for more than 20 years for organizations to develop, and they are not able to develop it? I thank God they did not develop it. We have 70% of the budget approved for this particular project because our judges must get the best because they are doing a lot of hard work and good work for this country.
Done with his speech, the minister presents the certificate of ownership to the 3 justices. Before proceeding to officially flag off the project, the Chief Justice of Nigeria speaks on the impact of the project on justice delivery.
While judicial officers are committed to upholding the rule of law, the provision of appropriate residential accommodation is a critical component of their welfare. By making this investment, the FCT administration has demonstrated a commendable understanding of the unique needs of the judiciary.
The project is expected to be completed within 15 months. Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
And the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency says the recent attack on it by Senator Oyelola Ashiru, representing APC Kwara South in the National Assembly, is born out of a vendetta rather than patriotism. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the Director of Media and Advocacy of the agency, Mr. Femi Babafemi, says the Senator's house in Ilorin, Kwara State was raided and consignment of drugs recovered from 3 of his aides who were arrested, prosecuted and sentenced to jail in June this year.
There is no doubt that setting up another agency is within the power of the Senate. And if we are invited to contribute to the debate, we will be willing to offer our opinion. While we cannot fault the power of the Senate on that, yet for a member of the upper chamber to have made such an unfounded and unwarranted categorical statement against the agency led us to look inward to.
And Afe Babalola University at Ado-Ekiti has held its 12th convocation ceremony and the 15th Founders' Day anniversary. During the event, over 1,600 graduates were awarded degrees in various disciplines. The Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Smaranda Olarinde, took the opportunity to advocate for the inclusion of private universities in accessing both the Tertiary Education Trust Fund and the Nigerian Education Loan Fund.
The procession of the founder and chancellor, members of the governing council and principal officers, as well as special guests, signaled the commencement of the 12th convocation ceremony and the 15th anniversary of the Founders' Day of Afe Babalola University. The celebration of the graduates and students is attended by family members, friends, notable guests, first-class traditional rulers, among others. Outlining the university's strides and community development, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Smaranda Olarinde, advocates the inclusion of private universities in the federal government's funding program for tertiary institutions.
Our private universities, which pay taxes through their corporate entities, should be entitled to benefit from the same funds they help generate. We call on the government to rectify this injustice. The exclusion of private university students from the federal government's student loan is discriminatory, as it unfairly limits financial support.
The founder and chancellor of Afe Babalola University, Chief Afe Babalola, expresses pride and satisfaction over the institution's achievements in the last decade.
I believe that I could catch up with all the existing universities and lead them. That dream has come true. Your university today is #1 in 3 objective areas: the Sustainable Development Program of United Nations.
The ceremony highlights the conferment of honorary doctorate degrees to individuals who have made significant impacts in their professions and the society. This year, it recognizes the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Damian Dodo, also a senior advocate and founder of the Citadel Global Community Church, Pastor Tunde Bakare.
On behalf of the honorees of today, I want to assure you that although you call it honor, we regard it as a challenge. Challenge to continue to maintain and uphold or scale up the position of ABWAD, not only in Nigeria, but across the globe.
The convocation ceremony climaxes with the award of higher degrees, first degrees, and the presentation of prizes to outstanding graduates and students.
Now you can go back to your seat. Thank you.
The ceremony witnesses the graduation of 1,662 students, with 226 students attaining first-class degrees across various faculties.
Chancellor, sir.
Omolara Ogunlano of the Department of Aeronautical and Astronautical Engineering emerged as the overall best graduating student with a cumulative grade point average of 5.0.
Every generation,
we've all come a long way. If you think back to the toughest moments of your life, you realize that how much they have shaped you into a stronger person. Believe it or not, I was not able to read until I was 7 years old, and I wasn't always the sharpest in the shed. But I took hold of my destiny and dedicated myself to become a person I knew I could be.
From the ceremony, the new graduates begin a new journey into their future. Afe Babalola University promises to continue to stand as a beacon of academic excellence, preparing the next generation of leaders equipped to tackle the challenges of the ever-evolving world.
Now, still ahead on the news at 10, global finance chiefs gather for the annual meeting of the World Bank and the IMF in Washington amidst concerns over wars in the Middle East, a flagging Chinese economy, and the upcoming U.S. election. That's in business news. To join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. As part of efforts to curb unemployment in Akwa Ibom, the state government has set up an official online platform where unemployed and underemployed youth in the state can register to access employment opportunities, training and other forms of support from both the state government and the organized private sector. On the portal, applicants can create their account with basic information and upload their educational qualifications and relevant academic information that will help prospective employers access and verify applicants' eligibility.
And how do we pay, for the voucher?
Tackling the problem of unemployment among young people in Akwa Ibom State is the reason for this gathering. The launch of the Arise Youth Empowerment Portal. It is one of several empowerment schemes created by Governor Umo Eno to appreciate the youths for maintaining peace and for their support to his administration. The portal is a one-stop site where job opportunities for both public and private sectors will be announced.
For candidates, the three big steps. Number one, register. Number two, complete your profile. Number three, just get ready to work. Because you would have interviews, you would have government opportunities, you will have shortlisting. Be ready to work.
So, Excellency, I commend you and I thank you for this initiative. And I want to appeal that all Akwa Ibom people will take advantage of this great opportunity.
Because you have solved a problem of us looking for who to employ. We'll just crack the portal and pick anybody we want. Thank you and God bless.
Governor Eno urges business owners in the state to utilize the channel. He also directs the Ministry of Labour and Economic Planning to work closely with all involved to ensure effective utilization of the initiative.
The time to ensure that we get our people employed is now. And let no one test our resolve. If we find out that you are operating here and you are not recruiting from here, we will do everything to shut you down. With great joy, sense of fulfillment, to have launched this Arise Youth Employment Portal, and I dedicate it to the youths of Akwa Ibom State who have shown great fidelity and understanding with us.
The governor also announced that a state inter-labor committee saddled with the responsibility of ensuring transparency and fairness in employment process will soon be launched.
And that's it from Abuja. It's now back to you, Ayo, for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Victoria. It was a thrilling moment on Sunday in Port Harcourt, River State, as Coca-Cola Nigeria Limited launched a brand new product called Waza Limited Edition Flavor. The unveiling attracted a large crowd of young people eager to experience the new addition to the Coca-Cola family and have some fun.
At Pleasure Park, Port Harcourt, it was nothing short of exciting as Coca-Cola unveils its latest product, Waza Limited Edition Flavor Drink. The atmosphere was vibrant with live performances from music artists and Nollywood celebrities to spice up the unveiling.
Premium.
And then it was time for the unveiling. Speaking Speaking to us, the Director of Frontline Marketing Coca-Cola Nigeria Limited, Soji Omoigu, highlights the essence of Woza. According to her, Coca-Cola Woza infuses the essence of African creativity with tropical flavors.
Coca-Cola Woza is a product that was launched into the market to ensure that we continue with the mission and we continue with the promise to excite our consumers. It is revealing a lot of the Nigerian culture, the African culture. It is made with tropical flavors, and we're inviting everyone today to come and have a taste of Africa in Coca-Cola Woza. Woza is Africa. Woza is tropical flavors. Woza is fashion. Woza is music. Woza is culture. That's what Woza is.
Some attendees who got a taste of Woza shared their impressions with us, describing it as refreshing and enjoyable.
Tastes cool and tastes very nice. I love the taste. It's very unique. So unique.
I love the taste. The way it tastes sounds so good, and I think it's a nice drink. I like it.
The launch of Woza may just have stirred new excitement, and who knows, it could become the new go-to drink for those who love its taste.
Still to come on the news at 10, Cameroon's President Paul Biya is finally seen in public. Please join us again. Welcome back. The federal government has approved the divestment of 4 international oil companies. The chief executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Mr. Gbenga Komolafe, made the revelation at the Commission's launch of the Project 1 Million Barrels of Oil Per Day initiative in Abuja. Mr. Komolafe explains that over 80% of oil divestments in Nigeria have been approved. However, he confirmed the blockage of the $1.3 billion sale of Shell assets to Renaissance Group due to regulatory issues. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, reports.
The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission is marking its 3rd-year anniversary following the signing of the Petroleum Industry Act into law. The celebration coincides with the launch of the 1 million barrels of incremental oil production per day. Nigeria's crude oil production has been hampered by vandalism, theft, and aging infrastructure over the years, which has led to a sharp decline in revenues from the sector. This mission is part of efforts to address the situation, and the effort has the blessing of President Bola Tinubu, who is represented at the event by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
The project is not just a government effort, but a collaborative undertaking involving major producers, service providers, financiers, and other key stakeholders. This initiative is a testament to the power of unity and shared responsibility.
Some of the key players call for a collective approach to make the target a reality.
This, among several other collaborative engagements, will ensure that the Commission achieves its objective of additional 1 million barrels per day projects. I assure you that the Nigerian Navy will continue to carry out its statutory roles to enhance a safe and secure maritime environment in line with the President, Commander-in-Chief's renewed hope agenda for prosperity, for poverty and eradication in our dear country.
Aside from the depleting crude oil production, the nation's crude oil production has experienced a divestment by international oil companies.
You may recall that by 1st January this year, we issued the Regulatory Action Plan for 2024 and the near term to signal direction for the upstream sector and foster operational excellence. The implementation of the plan has bathed what we are all here for today, called the Project 1 Million Barrels Incremental.
The Commission believes the initiative will take Nigeria's oil production to 2.4 million barrels per day. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
Time now for some business news with Dominic Iwewu.
Thank you, Ayo. On business news, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank annual meetings begin today in Washington, D.C. This year, the Bretton Woods institution turned 80, and conversations are hinged on how they can stay relevant and fair in a world that is different from 8 decades ago and has more changes in the face of geopolitical tensions that affect economic decisions. Our correspondent, John Mekwa, is there to cover and report these conversations and more.
19 streets of Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. is where the world is meeting. Athletes representative of major parts of the world are here. And so we see a different look on the streets. Some parts have been cordoned off. Traffic and parking slots have been allocated to guests, staff, and visitors to the 2024 annual meeting of the International Monetary Fund and World Bank. Normally, meetings like this would discuss issues, financial and economic issues around the world, from the issue of debt stress, which has been the problem of a lot of African countries or developing countries, to the issue of financial fairness. Now, that's a new one that has come on the agenda of conversations at this meeting, because with the geopolitical tension in the world and the two Bretton Woods institutions turning 80, there are questions as to are they able to cope with new challenges. And one of the new challenges of the world comes with the geopolitical tensions. We see that now economic ties are being determined by geopolitical tensions, especially what's going on in the Middle East, Ukraine and Russia. And all of this pose new challenges for both IMF and the World Bank. As they celebrate 80 years of existence, the world is asking, can there be financial fairness in the world? Well, I'm John Mekwa, and I'll be right here all through the meeting. We'll be all through this week, giving you details of it right here on Channels Television.
The domestic bourse commenced the 4th week of October on a bullish note, driven by buying interest in Seplat following the regulatory approval of the acquisition of ExxonMobil's onshore assets and UBA's impressive third-quarter performance. Lad Williams has the details.
Well, welcome to the market close summary. First trading day of the week kicks off with positive sentiment there, with the all-share index up over 0.5%, 0.64, 98,694 points for the all-share index. Market cap sitting tight, 59 trillion. Let's look at the sectoral performance. See the banking counter shining today with 3 of the tier 1 banks. That's the Fugas up today. And UBA, adding to that fire, the company releases Q3 unaudited results showing UBA grew its interest income by 149%. So maybe that drove investor buy interest. Then we see the oil and gas counter up over 4% with a lot of action there. With Seplat, the market move of 5,738 naira, with other oil giants also adding to their share price. We know Seplat with a market cap of about 2.9 trillion naira. I guess it's safe to say that UBA and Seplat took the shine today. But today, it's a bulls again.
And that's it on business news. Back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
All right, here's Simon Pizzi with other international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Moldovan voters appear to have backed the Eastern European country changing its constitution and committing to joining the EU by the thinnest of margins. Official data put yes on 50.31% and no on 49.69%, with over 99% of votes counted. Moldovan media said many of the votes yet to be counted had been cast abroad and would likely lean towards yes, as the Moldovan diaspora is broadly in favour of closer ties with the EU. The referendum had been widely expected to pass comfortably. Maia Sandu, the incumbent pro-EU president, earlier denounced the narrow result as the product of foreign interference in Moldovan politics, particularly from Russia. The Kremlin, which denies the claims, criticised the vote.
Moldova is a very important partner of the European Union. We noted that this vote took place under unprecedented interference and intimidation by Russia and its proxies, aiming to destabilize the democratic processes in the Republic of Moldova.
King Charles faced shouts of "You are not my king" from an independent senator just after he had finished an address at Australia's Parliament House on the second official day of his engagements in the country.
Give us what you stole from us!
Lydia Thorpe, an Aboriginal Australian woman, interrupted the ceremony in the capital city of Canberra by shouting for about a minute before she was escorted away by security. Australia is a Commonwealth country where the King serves as the head of state, but recently there has been a debate about removing the monarch from the role. The ceremony concluded without any reference to the incident, and the royal couple proceeded to meet hundreds of people who had waited outside to greet them.
I didn't get a chance to look around on who was supporting me, but I certainly got a few nods from Aboriginal people in the room to show that they support my resistance, which is the resistance of my people for over 200 years. We'll continue to resist the colony until we have a peacemaking treaty where we can celebrate this country together. We don't need a king from another country to dictate to us what we do here.
Democratic Party presidential candidate Kamala Harris is visiting 3 battleground states: Wisconsin, Michigan and Pennsylvania. With only 15 days to go until Election Day, Kamala Harris has been focused on the swing states, those that could reasonably be won by either a Democratic or Republican candidate. The latest campaigning comes after members of the congregation at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Stonecrest, Georgia, sang happy birthday to Kamala Harris to celebrate her 60th birthday. Meanwhile, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has served meals at a McDonald's in suburban Philadelphia, saying he had always wanted to work at the fast food restaurant.
Keep it tight. We got the salt on it. Never touches the human hand.
Very good. Very
nice
good.
And full.
Thank you.
Look at this guy. I'm not going to mess with him, huh? How you doing?
Mr. Trump said the McDonald's visit was intended in part as a jab at Harris, who says she worked at the fast food chain during her college years. Mr. Trump claims that Harris never worked there, but has not provided evidence to back that up. Ms. Harris says the stunt was a sign of Mr. Trump's desperation. At least 2 people have died after flooding hit New Mexico. Floodwaters gushed down streets with nearly 6 inches of rain falling in the area, breaking the previous record held since 1901. That's according to the National Weather Service. Footage posted on social media shows a street in Roswell that had turned into a river after torrential rains pummeled eastern New Mexico. And a sinkhole has opened up on an Italian motorway due to heavy rains swallowing a car. Firefighters carried out dozens of interventions in the southern region for landslides and mudslides. Heavy rain caused extensive flooding in Italy's southern regions, as one was reported near Bologna. The passengers in the car in the southern Italian region of Calabria were rescued uninjured. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. But just before we take sports news, Cameroon President, of course, we told you, Paul Biya has finally been seen in public for the first time in 6 weeks, following speculations on his whereabouts and health. The state television showed footage of the president's arrival at the airport in Yaoundé.
On March the 8th of the Nigeria Premier Football League, matches were played in 4 venues today. New Boys Ikorodu City beat Lopi Stars by 4-2, while Rivers United secured a precious away win in Minna after beating Niger Tornadoes 1-0. Shooting Stars beat Katsina United 1-0 in Ibadan. While Akwa United and Rangers International settled for a share of the spoils, having played out a goalless draw in Uyo. And in the English Premier League, Crystal Palace winless start to the season continued after Dean Henderson misjudged Chris Wood's second-half strike to hand Nottingham Forest a 1-0 home win. Forest picked up a first win since their 1-0 victory over Liverpool in September, having found it particularly difficult and hard at home before today's game. Nottingham Forest have just won 3 matches at the city's ground in 2024, while 18th place Crystal Palace's wait for a win goes on. And that's it on sports. It's back to you, Ayotunde.
And thanks, Chris. And the main news again. Dangote refinery has said that the suit filed against NNPCL and others regarding import licenses is an old one that dates as far back as September the 6th this year, and that parties involved in the suit have been in talks since the President Bola Tinubu's directive on crude oil and refined product sales in Naira initiative. The Dangote said significant progress has been made in that regard and that events have overtaken this development. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Have a good night and please stay safe.